straight through there. Can you see everyone? And look, just behind her, 2 little baby lions. Oh, look how sweet they are. They're so cute. Okay, let's carry on. We'll try and get a good view. And they're the cutest things in the world. Okay, we're going to go through here because it'll be a little bit easier, I think. How much does a lion cub weigh, you say, Matthew? A lion cub doesn't weigh very much, Matthew. When it's born, it only weighs about, I don't know what it is in imperial measures. We'll just say about 300 grams. So 300 grams is about, excuse me, it's about 1/8 of a pound. So it's really very little. Not 1/8 of a pound. No, it's not. Whoops, the daisy, it's about 1/2 a pound. I'm just going to talk on the radio. I had brief vision. Okay. Here they come. They're right here. They're just inside this thickness of bush here. Oh, here they come. Now, what I want you to listen to very carefully is their noise they make. It's one of my favorite noises in the bush. They go, wow, wow, wow. Let's move a little bit forward, Dave. You might get a little bit of a decent view. I go, oh, we're going to get a great view here, everyone. This is going to be so special. Isn't that nice? Little lion cubs. And their mum. Now there's another lioness around here somewhere. Be very exciting. Isn't that nice? Now this pride of lions is called the Styx Pride. And they don't normally come up here. It's quite interesting that they are this close to where the other lions we see are. Oh, look. Now I'm afraid these lions are a little bit sick. That's why their ears look a bit funny. I'm going to move forward again. They've got a funny skin disease called mange. And mange makes their skin very itchy, and so they scratch their hair and the hair comes off, and that's why the backs of their ears are a little bit kind of well, it looks like they don't have much hair. Dave, have you got a picture there or not really?
Better from the back.
From the back? Should I go back? Let me go back a little. Say when, Dave. They're doing is feeding. See that? They're suckling. And I'm afraid when I look at these little lions, I have to feel a little bit sorry for them because I don't think they're very well at the moment. They look a bit skinny. But you know, life out here is very tough. It's not easy. And so the animals have to, mother's got to find enough to eat in the same way that you just saw Karula, our leopard, killing for her cubs. So this lioness has got to kill for her cubs too, but at the moment they don't eat meat, they only drink milk, and the amount of milk that she makes in her body very much herself. And Kumani, you were wondering what these lion cubs eat. Until they are about 6 months old, they'll eat milk, but from about 3 months they'll start eating meat. So they like the taste of meat, but at the moment it doesn't give them enough nutrition. They don't have very tough teeth, and they need the milk to drink. Here comes the other lion, Dave. There comes the other lioness. Now if you see a vehicle, it is the other safari vehicle that's in the other area. All right, Taylor has got a reptile to show you. The cubs are moving away with another female with the other lioness. And what's interesting, everyone, is that the other lioness looks like she might also have babies. And the way we can tell that is that she's got those teats between her back legs that produce the milk. The other lioness has also got teats that are quite swollen, which normally means that they've both got cubs. Oh, Brianna, that's a very nice question. You say, do lions eat all animals? Or there's some animals that a lion won't eat? You know what, Brianna? There are actually no animals that a lion won't eat. They even eat each other sometimes. Isn't that disgusting? It might also be that these two cubs are not brother and sister or sisters, that one of them comes from one lioness and one comes from the other. Now, they really are not very healthy, these lions. If we look at the one to the, well, we can look at the cubs first. And look, they're trying to make friends with Mum. And if we go across to the one on the right there, Dave, you can see she's not well. Can you see the black skin there? That black skin is indicative of the fact that she has got what we call mange, that horrible disease I was telling you about. I don't know what's going to happen with her. They've had it for a long time. Sorry, we're just wiping some spider web off the lens there. That's what you saw happening there. Hello, College Park Elementary, or all of you. You want to know how it is that mange heals. It basically heals everyone through time. So in much the same way that you know, if you have a cold, I know your mum and dad might actually cure you, it just makes you feel a bit better. The cold that you get, your body has to fight it off on its own. And we know that the best way for your body to fight off a cold is for you to eat the right things, so you don't have sweets and chocolates and chips and junk food when you're sick. You eat vegetables and you eat good healthy meat and healthy foods, and then you get better. Now the same thing happens with lions and animals out here. There's nothing but time and good food and drink that can help these lions to overcome their disease, that is mange. And if they don't eat properly, and I don't know how well these lionesses are eating because they look skinny to me, if they don't eat properly, then it's going to take a long time for the mange to get better. Does that make sense? And Laval, you ask another very good question. You say, how much hair do they lose when they have this disease? Well, you know, Laval, they can lose all of their hair. We've seen these little cubs lose all of their hair. Not these two, but the last two that this pride had, they lost every single piece of their hair. It was very, very sad to watch. But that's what happens, you see. Now we've got another pride of lions that we view here, and they're called the Nkahuma pride, and they also had mange, but their mange got better, and that's because they were eating a lot more than this pride was, which meant that they were able to cope with the disease. It wasn't so difficult for them to get cured, and that's why I say to you, it's so important. It's so very, very important that they eat the right thing. Does that make sense, everyone? And Brianna, another good one from you. You say, do the cubs follow their mums everywhere? They don't follow them everywhere, Brianna, because they don't follow them when they're hunting. When they're not hunting, what they do is that they are left behind in some thick bush somewhere, and then the mothers go off hunting, and then the mothers will eat, and they'll come back and fetch the cubs. When the cubs are about 6 weeks old, so roughly around about the age that these cubs are, I think they're about 6 weeks old now, maybe a little bit older, what will happen is that the lionesses will start to take the cubs towards the kills. So they will kill something, one of them will stay behind, the other one will go back, fetch the 2 cubs and take them to the kill, so that they can begin the process of weaning. Now, weaning, of course, is the process by which all mammals, and you did it as well, start to eat proper food, not just the milk that their mothers feed them. And Matthew, yes, absolutely it will. In fact, you won't even notice when they do get better, their hair grows back, and by the time they're a bit older, you won't see that they've had mange, except oh, it's a lovely afternoon out here, and like I say, it's quite hot, but slowly it's going to start getting cooler, and maybe these lions will go off at some stage and do a little bit of hunting. That would be great. But I think that's only going to happen when it gets dark. Lions like to hunt in the dark. They don't like to hunt in the middle of the day. I spotted one of the butterflies that Taylor was showing you the eggs of, but I'm afraid it's flown off. The African vagrant. It's gone away, I'm afraid. So let's just keep watching these lions. I think we're going to sit with them for a little while. And quite interesting, of course, Taylor is walking around on foot, isn't she, Brave? And she's got a very interesting plant to show you. This is the other Styx lioness, everybody. She's got, very easily identifiable by the rather pathetic pom-pom she has. You see that, David? Look at her tail. Ridiculous. A bit like the lion, one of the Birmingham's who we termed Skinny Pom-Pom, much to the disgust of most of our viewers. Now, this one is not lactating, but the other 2 are lactating, and this one has taken a deep fancy to David, you can see. These lions have got something about them. They look manky. In other words, they are mangy. This one's got a skinny pom-pom. There's a look in their eyes that, one would expect to see in the eyes of a mugger coming down the street to take your telephone from you. And there's something about them that is just not quite as, I think executive as the lions of the Nkuhuma Pride. These chaps just don't seem to have quite the same vibe. Oh, she thought she stood on a thorn there. Oh, she's limping, one of the 2. Now, Leandra, you're wondering how many lionesses are in the Styx Pride and how many are in the Nkuhuma Pride. Well, there are 3 lionesses in the Styx Pride, Leandri. Let me move back a bit for you, Darby. And there are 5 in the Nkuhuma Pride. The Nkuhuma Pride lionesses, well, they've just got a sort of, I'm going to hesitate to say royal feeling about them. I don't think so. For me, they're much more like the sort of the rich gang, if you like. The wives and offspring of the Corleones or something like that, whereas the Styx Pride, well, they belong to a fairly low-life street gang, I feel. Now, of course, I'm being deeply unkind. It's just an interesting way of looking at it, because the lions have a totally different vibe about them. They're scrappers, these chaps, the Styx. You just move into position here so we can have a look. There at her approaching, hopefully, the others. I'll try and get us into such a position, David, to give you a 3-shot. How's that? Very nice. I must just apologise again while we wait to see what happens here during that crash cut, a technical difficulty with Jamie. I seem to be trying to attempt a Mumbai accent, and I had no idea we were live, so I do apologise for that. I don't know why she's gone around the other side. Maybe she's stalking the Djuma vehicle. I'm joking, of course. She's just looking for shade. Now, we were just chatting earlier about these cubs and whether or not they still have mange. And they look mangy, but they're not scratching. And remember, that was the first thing we noticed about the Nkuhuma cubs when they started to get over their mange. We noticed that they'd stopped scratching. And I think this means that these chaps are probably going to survive, unlike their 8 siblings who all unfortunately passed with the wind and with the passing of the dreadful drought. The mange that caused the lack of nutrition, I think that made them able to cope with the mange, has passed as well, and so I think that these chaps are probably going to be all right. That said, look at those hips. They're looking skinny. They're not looking very push this far north into their territories. This is right at the northern extremity of their territory. They used to go off to Treehouse Dam quite often. That's sort of parallel with this. And the Nkuhumas sometimes go that far south, but very seldom. So they're right on the boundary. And I think these are both little lionesses, if I'm not mistaken. And I'd also like to know from you, perhaps you have a better idea. I think that one of these cubs is from one lioness and one is from the other, because they're both lactating. They're definitely both lactating, and so maybe they lost little siblings very early on. Either that, or one of these lionesses has got some cubs stashed away somewhere, which is quite possible. Oh, beautiful in the background. I can hear the southern boo-boo calling. Jackie, you're wondering what the gender of these cubs are? I'm pretty sure they're 2 lionesses. I'm pretty sure that they're both little lionesses. I've looked at both of them behind their tails. In fact, there's one there. Yeah, that looks like a little lioness, I think. It's difficult to tell sometimes at this age. One of them's definitely a lioness. That one, I think... Get up, little cub. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a lioness. Now, they may well head off into the thick bush down the drainage. We'll try and follow them, but if we can't, we've had a wonderful view, and we might press on and see what else we can find. Twitching there in the back leg, twitch, twitch. I don't think that's anything other than a scratch. Well, Aaron, yes, I suppose it probably does, you say, but maybe not in the way you think. You say that if a lion is born to a mother with mange, does that automatically mean the cub will have age? It does, simply because they're not born with mange, but it means that their skin contact, of course they have huge amounts of skin contact with their mothers, will result in the cubs getting mange almost immediately. That lioness got a horrible fright when her cub got up and broke a stick next to her. How irritated she looks. She also has a totally different look to those Nkuhuma lionesses. They've got something kind of almost sinister behind their eyes. Do you agree, Dave? Yeah. David agrees. Something sinister about these low-level gangsters that we have here. Oh. Very nice. You see what I mean, everyone? Their eyes have got a kind of milkiness about them that I think is quite terrifying. Those teeth are equally terrifying, but no more so than they are on the Nkuhuma Pride. Alright, we'll just try one last move. I'm going to wait. There's somebody else actually moving into the sighting. I'm going to let them move first, so we'll just stay with this lioness for now. In case you are a new viewer, we are in an area that has obviously quite a lot of tourism and some private landowners, and so we're in constant radio contact with all of them, and it's never more than 3 vehicles at a sighting. Well, it's not supposed to be, at a time, and that's certainly been the case here. Oh, she's very tired, isn't she? And so when I say someone else is moving into the sighting, what I mean is a vehicle full of guests that are staying at one of these lodges. Let's have one more look at the little cubs. And in the meantime, with the Styx Pride and their little babies. And, sorry, just hang on 1 second. I just want to help Aubrey quickly. Orbs, are you trying to come to the sighting of Styx? Oh, no, it's okay. I thought he was trying to come here. Now, let's just look carefully. I want to look at all 3 of them. Dave, we go between the hind legs of the back one there. The far left, sorry. Now, she, to me, looks like she's lactating as well, which is quite interesting. And then if we go to the next one along, she too looks like she's might be lactating, maybe not. There are no suckle marks though. They've just got very distended kind of teeth, so maybe she isn't lactating. She's probably just got swollen teats, which might mean that she's pregnant. Who knows? Right, I'm getting reports of elephants not too far from here, so if it's all right with you, everybody, I haven't seen an elephant for, well, a long time. I'm not sure I remember what one looks like. It's the first big game sighting David and I have had since he spotted the crocodile some time back, and so I'd like to go and see some elephants. Shall we go and see some elephants? Let's go and see some elephants. We might come back to these lions a little bit later. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. I'm going to hit a tree. We all right there, Dave? It's a bit tight, but we made it on account of the fact that we're in such a tiny little car. Okay, now I can talk with my normal beefy voice as opposed to my whispering voice as I hit a large tree. Whoops-a-daisies. What else would you think an impala might say? As an impala clamped, at least as a lion clamped its jaws around his head, I think he might say, gosh darn, didn't see that coming. Oh well, lucky there are lots of me. That's that sort of thing, Justin. I'm not really sure. There's rather a beautiful sunset going on. Very pretty. I'm breaking the law, David. I'm going to take a picture of it. Oh, it's so naughty of me. My naughtiness is boundless. You know what? Sunsets very, very seldom come out the way you want them to. Ooh, that was supposed to be on silent. Sorry about that, everybody. I really did break the law there. Anyway, we'll go back to the lions as the sun descends west over the western horizon, obviously, if it is going down in the west. Oh, sorry, Dave. There's there's a pink tongue sticking out from the top of that cloud. Can you see it? That is bizarre. What a very pretty pink tongue sticking out from the side of that cloud. All right, let's go back to the lions. They've hardly moved since we last saw them. In fact, I don't think they've moved at all. One of them's moved, I can't tell which one, and they're currently very deeply asleep. Now, I don't know if any of you agree with me that perhaps they are, well, do you know what I mean when you look in their eyes and there's something kind of, well, slightly scary about them, slightly criminal, dare I say it, about their eyes? And something very sad about their mange. But, like I say, I think that these two little bit of scratching, but that's really nothing like they would be scratching normally if the mange was a real problem. He seems to be eating his own tail, her own tail. Hello, Damon. You're a very observant fellow. You're 13 years old, and clearly you've got very good eyes. You say, why do lion cubs have spots on them? The reason is because of where they live. Now, I want you to think of the leopards, hopefully, that you saw earlier. Did you see Karula earlier, Damon? If you didn't, you may be about to. Anyway, they have spots their whole lives, obviously, and they move through thick bush, like the bush that we're actually surrounded by here. And it's very unusual that we would find a lion lying out like these, at least a leopard lying out like these lions are. So when lions are very little, before they join the pride, they live in thick bush like this. They're put and stashed away in caves and in thick bush, in very sort of shaded areas, in drainage lines, and those areas are full of shadows. And the spots help them to hide in those shadows, Damien. Then when they get much bigger, it becomes much more difficult for them to move in thick bush, and the lion is not a thick bush liver like a leopard is. They don't live in forests, they live in savannas and woodlands and grasslands. And if you're going to live in a savanna or a woodland or a grassland, it helps to be that tawny colour rather than the spotted colour, because you can move through the long summer grass, and that helps you when you're trying to kill something on the plains. So that's basically why the little ones have got spots and the adults don't. And you can see these guys have already kind of lost their spots because they've started to move with the pride. Perfect, perfect little feet. We were asked this morning about tracks and the sizes of, relative sizes of leopards and lions' tracks. That's about the size there of a leopard track that you're looking at, a little 6-week-old lion cub, about the size of a female leopard track. But what you can see is that the front pads are exploded from the back pad. Did you see that? They weren't touching. That is extremely characteristic of any cat track. And if we look at the adults' tracks there, very nice, you can see there's the same thing. There's hair in between the toe pads and the back pad. Now on a hyena, and often some of the dogs, you don't find that gap. And that shape is exactly the same as the shape that you will find, or within reason, on the front feet of your house cat. So if you've got a house cat, you've, I'm sure, done this while you've been stroking them perhaps, their feet, you've put your hands onto their feet and sort of pushed their claws out and that sort of thing, and you'll know that the shape of the pads underneath a domestic cat's foot, although probably a tenth the size of that, are exactly the same shape. And just Yes, eating her own tail, possibly on account of the mange. Yeah, Suzanne, interesting question from you about why it is that you think, I think mange affects this pride so much more than it does the Nkuhumas. I don't think it's their location. I think it's to do with how much they're eating. These guys are skinny. They don't look in great condition to me. The cubs look like they're skinny as well, and that means that they're just simply not eating enough. And if you're not eating enough, you know that if you're eating poorly, your body struggles to fight off disease. And I think the same thing's going on here. I just don't think they're eating properly. Why that should be the case, I don't really know. They're not buffalo specialists like the Nkuhumas, but there was a lot of weak buffalo, or there when the Styx were there over the course of the drought. They didn't seem to go for them. I mean, probably because they were so sort of denuded of nutrition themselves. But I think the drought took its toll on these cats. And it's interesting, I mean, if you draw a graph, I'll try and draw it for you one day, not right here in the sand, because the lions don't really like mathematics, and so I'm not going to draw it for them. As the drought begins, the herbivores start to get weaker and they lose condition, and the carnivores have a field day because they have lots to eat. But there comes a point, if the drought goes on for long enough, beyond which it actually becomes disadvantageous for the carnivores as well, because the herbivores start to lose so much condition that the carnivores eating them are unable to gain sufficient nutrition. Now, I think that happened here with the mange. It's almost certainly what happened with the white muscle disease that took 2 of the Nkuhuma Pride cubs, and we thought was going to take a few of the adults. And so it's quite interesting when a drought happens. Initially, it's a boom time for the carnivores, and after which it becomes a bad time for just about everybody. And those effects are lasting. They don't just recover with the first rains. It takes a long time for the animals to recover. And that drought, of course, is the way of cleaning a little bit out, weeding out, or the nature's way of weeding out genetic weakness. You can just see the disgusting crusted milk there, I think, on the suckle mark there. Right, Jamie Patterson has got a better view of the sunset than we had, so let's go and have a look at it.